The bustling terminal of the Atlanta airport echoed with the clatter of wheels, the chatter of tired passengers, and the distant hum of announcements. Sergeant Marcus Taylor, dressed in his crisp Army combat uniform, made his way toward Gate B-14 with his boarding pass in hand and a soft smile on his lips. After a 9-month deployment overseas, he was finally heading home. He looked forward to seeing his wife and daughter, to hugging his mother, and to breathing in the fresh Georgia air. Home. That word had never sounded sweeter. As he approached the gate, a few passengers nodded politely. Some whispered things like, "Thank you for your service." Marcus wasn't looking for recognition. He was just grateful to be alive, grateful that he made it home when many of his brothers and sisters in arms did not. He scanned the boarding pass again. First class. It had been a gift, an upgrade courtesy of a generous older couple he'd met in the terminal lounge, who had insisted he take their seat. "You've done enough," the man had said with a wink. "Let us do something for you." Marcus approached the gate, where the flight attendant, a tall, stern-looking woman with platinum blonde hair and a stiff posture, was checking boarding passes. Her name tag read, Colleen. He handed over his ticket with a smile. "First class, sir," he said, trying to sound casual. Colleen scanned the pass, looked at it, then looked at Marcus. Her expression shifted subtly. Her jaw tightened, her eyes narrowed. She examined the uniform as though it were out of place. "This must be a mistake," she said coolly. "Coach is boarding at the other gate." "No, ma'am. This ticket was upgraded. It's seat 2A, Marcus replied calmly, tapping the seat number on the pass. Colleen's lips curled into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Sir, I think you're confused. I'm going to have to ask you to step aside." Marcus stepped aside, confused but not confrontational. He'd dealt with difficult situations before. What was a little misunderstanding? But as he stood to the side, more passengers boarded. Every single first-class passenger walked past him. He started to feel a shift in the energy around him. Eyes avoided his. Others glanced at him with either confusion or disdain, as if he didn't belong. 10 minutes later, Colleen returned. "I've confirmed there's no upgrade attached to your name in the system," she said crisply. "So unless you have a separate confirmation, you'll need to go back to your original seat in coach." Marcus opened his phone and pulled up the message from the couple who gave him the ticket. He showed her the confirmation code and the text they had sent. "They transferred it to me. They said they cleared it with the desk. Please check again." Colleen barely glanced at it. "I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. We can't verify third-party transfers at the gate. Maybe next time, check with the counter earlier." Her tone wasn't just dismissive. It was condescending. There was something in her voice that made Marcus feel smaller than he was, like a child being told off for making up a story. He clenched his jaw but said nothing. Arguing wouldn't help. A few people nearby overheard the exchange. One man in a business suit shook his head and muttered, "Unbelievable." Marcus, frustrated but composed, turned and began to make his way toward coach. As he walked down the aisle, a silence followed him. Not loud, not dramatic, but palpable. A man in uniform, denied a seat he had every right to. He took his place in a cramped middle seat near the back. He had barely buckled in when a soft tap came on his shoulder. It was a flight attendant. A different one, younger, with kind brown eyes and a hesitant voice. Her name tag read, Amy. "Sergeant Taylor," she asked, quietly, "can you come with me for a moment?" Marcus looked up, confused. "Sure," he said, unbuckling his seatbelt. He followed her up the aisle. As they reached the first-class section, he saw Colleen standing stiffly near the galley, her arms crossed. But something had changed. The other passengers were looking at her, not Marcus, with questioning eyes. Amy stepped aside. "We've had a change. Please take seat 2A, she said softly. Marcus froze. What? The older man who had originally gifted the seat. He had apparently seen the entire exchange and had just spoken with the captain. Turns out, the couple had done the transfer at the front desk, and it was properly documented. Colleen had simply refused to check. The captain had personally reviewed the records. He was not pleased. Marcus took his seat as the older man gave him a quick pat on the shoulder. "Some things still need to be stood up for," he said simply before returning to coach. The rest of first class seemed unusually quiet as Marcus sat down. He didn't gloat. He didn't say a word. But the air around him felt different now. Not heavy with judgment, but with quiet respect. Amy brought him a drink and said, "I'm so sorry. That never should have happened." He nodded. "I appreciate it." But the real shock came minutes later. Just before takeoff, Colleen was seen leaving the aircraft, escorted by a supervisor who had been called to the gate. Apparently, several passengers had filed complaints, and Amy had discreetly notified the airline through her device. The airline's policy was clear. Discriminatory behavior of any kind was grounds for removal and review. As the plane began to taxi, Amy leaned down again. "She's been reported. The captain didn't want her on his flight. You didn't deserve that. No one does." Marcus looked out the window, the Georgia skyline starting to disappear. He didn't feel vindicated. He didn't feel angry anymore. What he felt was something deeper. That maybe, just maybe, the world was still willing to stand up for what was right.